It's an orange juice.
What's up everyone, this is Orange Juice. The Electro Wiz challenge is very unique, where everyone will have an Electro Wizard. I don't believe that anyone will be able to formulate the best deck in the 3 days that this challenge runs. However, since this is an isolated meta, we know Inferno Tower, Inferno Dragon, and Sparky are not going to be reliable, knowing that they have Electro Wizard. Cards like Minion Horde and Lava Hound will be high-risk cards to play as well. The Lava Hound is still going to be solid, but the Lava Pups will get wrecked really hard by the Electro Wizard. His Zap Spawn deals full zap damage and stuns the area, so it'll kill all the skeletons and stun the Sparky. The mechanics of stun in this game are not a true stun. A true stun in other games will reset the attack startup frame back to 0. Clash Royale's definition of a stun merely pauses the unit in that exact time frame for 0.5 seconds. Then they continue at that frame. The Electro Wizard stun is more relatable to a slow, kind of like an Ice Wizard. If the Electro Wizard faced a unit with a slower attack speed than him, it would never attack if this functioned as a true stun. Here's one thing you should know about the Electro Wizard. If he hits one target, his attack deals the full 200 damage. If he hits 2 targets, his total damage splits in half, so he'll deal 100 damage to both targets. Let's explore cards that are must-haves. The Electro Wizard dies to Fireball in one shot, so that's a really good card to have in your deck. The Ice Golem complements the Electro Wizard because it can defend against most swarms very effectively, or bring them down to zappable range. Also, the Ice Golem is reliable for absorbing the Electro Wizard's attack, so if your opponent's Electro Wizard is locked onto your tower, you can at least plant him nearby to absorb half his damage. It is a good idea to include Zap in your deck because despite the Electro Wizard's ability to spawn Zap, he's way too fragile to spawn in the middle of the battle most of the time. It's practically like casting a 4 elixir Zap, because he dies immediately in a large battle. There aren't many opportunities to use him for a Zap spawn damage, but Lava Pups are one of the interactions that do make sense. If there's an incoming Minion Horde, it's better to Zap them, then spawn the Electro Wizard. To include a well-rounded deck in these next 3 days, you need to include the 2 best cards in the game right now, Mega Barbarians and Meta Minion. With everyone using an Electro Wizard, the Inferno Tower won't be very effective at taking out a giant. The Electro Wizard does an excellent job at disabling the Inferno Tower. So the Elite Barbarians make great tank killers that translate into a really strong counterattack. As far as the Meta Minion goes, it's just so good at everything, it rounds off this deck. Those are the basics you need to know to use this deck. For the last 2 cards, I have Archers and Hog. You could sub Archers for any ranged unit, and Hog for any win condition like Royal GG, Mortar, or even a Rocket. Whatever your heart desires. If you're finding you're having trouble against Elite Barbarians and it's in everybody's deck, a Bomb Tower or regular Barbarians are pretty decent at countering them. Let's show you a few replays on how I use this deck. Each attack stuns, so he's kind of like an Ice Wizard where he can shut down a Hog very effectively. My Hog only managed to hit the tower once, and now I have to deal with his Electro Wizard. Mana plants a princess down, so I countered her with an Electro Wizard. The spawn damage brought her down low enough so that she would die in one attack. I'm forced to defend his Electro Wizard with an Ice Golem to absorb half of the damage from the Electro Wizard. Planting Elite Barbarians at the bridge can catch your opponent off guard. It's the new Royal Giant. Mana played a Giant at the same time, so he only has Skeleton Army to defend, but I have a Zap. He's forced to spawn an Electro Wizard on top of them. This does a very good job of stopping the Elite Barbs since his attack stuns them and causes them to retarget. His health is incredibly fragile, so my Mega Minion swipes him out, then deals with a Giant. Ice Golem was a bit slow, otherwise it would have protected my archers from the princess. I spawned an Electro Wizard because I didn't want the giant getting a second punch on my tower. The princess draws her bow, ready to fire a second shot, but his stun stops her for half a second. The tombstone is barely enough to stop my Electro Wizard. I'm going in for a 10 elixir push with Hog and Elite Barbarians. I don't have enough elixir to zap the Skarmy in time, but Mana is more scared of them than my Hog. So he plants a Giant to tank them, followed by a Mega Minion to take out my Hog. He didn't need to play the Giant so early, but it's already on the map, so he uses it to push. He uses a Graveyard and a counter with Archers. I fireballed his Tombstone to take his tower, down low enough for one more fireball. I pressured the other side. With Elite Barbarians and Hog, it just decimates the tower. The Electro Wizard is really strong, so again, I needed to use an Ice Golem to disperse half of his damage away from the tower, to prevent Princess chip damage. He plays a graveyard on the top left side. Meanwhile, my Ice Golem on the bottom right slithers his way in and brings down the tower to a zappable range, saving me from needing to fireball it. Mana doesn't have a fireball, so my archers completely shut down his graveyard. To deal with his giants, I have elite barbarians, but they're not quite enough. Taking advantage of the elite barbarian counter push, tanking the towers, I use the fireball to take out the tombstone, then a hog to sneak past everything. My Ice Golem takes care of his Skarmy while my Mega Minion and Elite Barbarians take out his Giant. With this huge counter push, I have my Hog to take out the Tombstone, and I wanted to spawn my Electro Wizard to take out the Tombstone, but I was a little bit too early, so that cost me this transaction. With my Archer still alive, I planted the Ice Golem in the core to tank for them. Only one makes it toward the tower. She lands 2 shots, then Fireball, then the Ice Golem's Frost Nova, and that is good game. In the second replay, I'm now player blue, running the same deck. Mana is running a variation of his previous deck. Starting off the match, I don't want to play Elite Barbarians in the back since they're way too fast. I dropped my Ice Golem, Mana drops his Giant. Now I know he doesn't have a tank to deal with my Elite Barbs, so I rush the bridge, and it catches him off guard, so he misses pulling them both. Just one Elite Barbarian reaches the tower, only 3 swings, and it almost takes down 1,000 damage. That's the scariest part of this card. One small mistake and your opponent gets crushed. With my Ice Golem slowly crawling into the front, it protects my Mega Minion. The Electro Wizard deals a total of 200 damage, but the Ice Golem is tanking half of that damage for the Mega Minion. I planted my Electro Wizard to snowball a counter push. I was a bit greedy in doing so because I was asking to be fireballed for a huge negative elixir trade, but he misses. The Electro Wizard has a semi-stun every attack, so the tower can't kill him fast enough, so he actually deals 1,000 damage to the tower. Right at this point, not only do I have more tower damage, but I also have a 2 elixir advantage, so I'm not afraid to rush with a Frozen Hog combo. The Hog hits the tower twice. Now I have to deal with his bowler. I want to surround it with Elite Barbarians, otherwise the bowler will just knock both of them back, but I need to manage my elixir, so I planted a Mega Minion. He surprises me with a graveyard on the left side, but Mana doesn't have a fireball. My archers are a direct counter to an unsupported graveyard. With my Mega Minion still alive, he's forced to fireball, but he misses again, and that Mega Minion provides so much value. Just in time too, because the archers that defended the graveyard needed a tank, so I was able to plant the Golem to tank the tower. It was a really last second reaction. He plants an Electro Wizard, the Spawn Zap takes the archers down to half, and his attack deals 100 damage to both archers. The Electro Wizard's stun stops my Hog from getting more than 1 hit off. He actually packs a huge punch with a 200 damage attack, so I zapped him, because I don't want him striking my tower more than once. Mana plays his Giant a bit forward. This is perfect because my Elite Barbarians can start shredding at him. With the Electro Wizard as a back-end support, it stuns everything, providing so much value. It helps take out his Mega Minion and Bowler. Then he turns around and cleans up the graveyard, goes in for a counter push. He still has a sliver of health, so I use my Elite Barbarians to tank. With 20 seconds left on the clock, there's no way Mana will be able to take out 2 towers. With my Mega Minion, Electro Wizard, and 1 Elite Barbarian, it just wrecks the King's Tower. This deck has high DPS units that can instantly change the direction of a battle. A burner deck is more slow and provides more reliable wins. But this deck shines when your opponent makes one single mistake, which can cost the tower in seconds. This is a very well-rounded deck. Let's see how it performs against the Lava Hound. Starting off the match, splitting archers is always the safest bet. It gives the option to defend or attack both sides. Usually when they play a tank, this is a medium risk, high reward push. They won't have much elixir to deal with Elite Barbarians. You can't see this in the replay, but I selected Zap and hovered around the Elite Barbarians in case he had a skeleton army or something zappable. Mana could have played guards to defend against the 1 Elite Barbarian, but this match was played before the balance update went live, so he underestimated its power. Meanwhile on the left side, he has an Electro Wizard just destroying my Mega Minion, so I fireballed it, because I needed my Mega Minion to take care of his Lava Hound. I could have used the Electro Wizard, but Zap and Ice Golem provide similar value in shutting down the Lava Pups and Mega Minion. Though if I used the Electro Wizard and if he survived, he would have been more valuable in defending against the Miner as well. Mana's not worried about the 300 chip damage on my archers since that's his stronger side. He's banking his elixir by planting a tombstone. This lets him build up more elixir on the map. The tombstone acts as a defensive wall as well as skeletons that trickle down the lane to support the Lava Hound. With this Lava Hound coming in, I'm not worried if my Electro Wizard dies because I have lots of options like Fireball, Zap, Mega Minion, and Ice Golem to deal with the pups. With his Electro Wizard hiding safely behind the Lava Hound, I had to fireball him. The Lava Hound pops, so I played an Ice Golem to tank and to keep my Electro Wizard alive. The zap was very important, because an Electro Wizard's damage is split in half, so it takes 2 shots to kill a pup. But zap brings them down enough for him to one-shot 2 pups at once. Because of that, the pups immediately disappear from the map. I could play my Electro Wizard or Archers to take out the princess, but I want to apply pressure and force him to spend Elixir defending against them. Because his right tower is so low, I can always fireball it out. I know his tombstone is out of rotation, so I played a hog to take out the tower. Meanwhile, on the left side, he knows he's going to lose this game unless I make a critical mistake against his lava push. My elite barbs take out his mini P.E.K.K.A and tank his Electro Wiz. His Lava Hound pops, and this time, instead of using my zap spell, I used an Electro Wizard to spawn the zap. With 2 Electro Wizards stacked up, this is insanely powerful, and he doesn't have a fireball. They're targeted by the tower, but the back-to-back stun causes the tower to switch targets to the higher health wizard, then finally to my Hog Rider. 2 Electro Wizards are practically unstoppable. They almost have a perma-stun effect, but let's be real here. A lot of players are anticipating the Electro Wizard and they will be running fireballs in their deck, so this combo will never happen. A fireball would sweep away everything for a huge positive elixir trade. Let's check out another replay with Lava Hound. This time Mana is using a Frozen Hog deck with Barbarian Hut, and I'm playing a Lava Clone deck. Mana starts off with a really annoying front princess for guaranteed chip damage. I could have countered with a single Mega Minion, but I quick dropped the Ice Golem first. This gives it a head start to tank for my Mega Minion. Now with an Ice Golem to tank, you can't just zap the Mega Minion and let the tower take care of it. You have to commit. He takes advantage of his Electro Wizard and has a Hog supporting it. I don't have any buildings to pull his Hog, so I had to throw everything at it. If I could restart this match, I would have added Tombstone in place of the Skeletons, just because of how well it pairs with the Lava Hound. Mana was a bit hesitant to fireball, so my counter push ends up bringing down the tower to 1400 health. This just goes to show, despite the Electro Wizard being really fragile, he packs a huge punch and should never be ignored. With just Skeletons, this keeps my deck costs low, so I'm confident I can do a Lava Hound push. He plays Barbarian Hut, so I planted my Mega Minion in front of the Lava Hound, knowing that the Barbarians will keep it occupied long enough for the Lava Hound to fly past it. Not sure why I played Skeletons there. I didn't even need to cycle my cards. I cloned my Lava Push, and his Ice Golem pops my cloned Lava Hound. This forces him to play his Electro Wizard way earlier than he should have, just to take out my clones. I played a low-risk prediction Fireball, anticipating him to play something to take care of the cloned pups. My thought process is that even if he doesn't play anything, it takes care of his princess. So it ends up taking out his Electro Wizard too, and my units take out the Barbarian Hut. Sitting at a huge elixir advantage, I know I can go for another Lava Push. This time, Mana places the Barbarian Hut one tile closer to his tower, so it pulls my Lava Hound. With his princess on the right side, knowing my clone spawns on the same side, I'm banking for him to pop my cloned Hound, then take her out with a Fireball. I wanted my Electro Wizard to take care of that Mega Minion, but all it did was ask to be fireballed. It takes out my Wizard, Mega Minion, and pup for a positive elixir trade. He misplayed his Electro Wizard just slightly too early. Otherwise, it would have demolished those pups much quicker. Still an overall good defense. Now he has a huge counter push and I don't have Fireball in rotation. I have no choice but to use my Lava Hound to tank. I really wish I added Tombstone instead of Skeletons. His Electro Wizard's damage is split between my Lava Hound and Mega Minion, only dealing 100 damage to each unit, so my Mega Minion isn't in trouble. He plants his Electro Wizard a bit far out and it just dies immediately. Overall, I think the Lava Clone will still be viable, despite Electro Wizard being counter. As long as you have counters to their counters and are conscious of their overall card rotation, it can still win you the game. I have a feeling a lot of players will not be running Inferno Tower just because the Electro Wizard shuts it down. This is one of the downfalls of the Electro Wizard. I found that after many games, I was very reluctant to take advantage of his spawn zap, because he has really low health and can barely afford to take much damage. It's a very niche mechanic that has its place, but should not be the sole reason you use him just to spawn the zap. Keep in mind when I share these replays, we have other replays with higher skilled plays, but at the end of the day, that results in a lot of back and forth stalemates with 6-minute games that result in draws. It's extremely boring to watch and there isn't much to learn when we both counter each other using the same card rotation over and over. I specifically pick the replays where there are really cool interactions regardless of our mistakes. My goal isn't to showcase I'm the best player in the world, because I'm not. I'm just a regular player that really enjoys obsessing over game mechanics. Selecting these replays, my goal is to teach through these mistakes. As for this video, I'm not able to go into full detail about the Electro Wizard like I traditionally do, and that's because he's not officially releasing in the game yet. However, these replays have really unique interactions, like the Electro Wizard reaching the tower to deal 1000 damage, how he interacts versus a graveyard, or how he can shut down a hog. I hope you enjoyed these gameplays and learned a bit about the Electro Wizard, and in the process can formulate an educated opinion on how to use and counter him for your own decks. The first deck I showcased is very reliable, but remember, how you use those cards are more important than what deck you use. Good luck in the challenges, and remember, pack a fireball to kill the Electro Wizard. Thanks for watching, stay tuned for more quality eggnog.